Today on CityCast Denver, I got a favor to ask. We know the mayor started informing city workers yesterday about layoffs happening all this week, and we're looking ahead to the fallout. But we need to hear from you. Are you one of the 171 workers going to lose their jobs, according to a report from Denverite? Or is your department maybe losing a key team member? We want to know what all this is going to mean for city services. So leave us a voicemail or send us a text to 720-500-5418. Even if you want to be anonymous, please reach out. We want to hear from you. 720-500-5418. But today we're talking about harm reduction and the battle over our cities. Democrats back in 2022 passed a bill to toughen up penalties on drugs, and now President Trump wants to do the same. But we have data on whether or not it's been working, so we're going to talk about it. Producer Olivia Jewel-Love joins me, and we're also going to answer a bunch of your hilarious and insightful voicemails. Today is Tuesday, August 19th. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Hey, everybody. Tuesday morning. Welcome to CityCast. I'm here with producer Olivia Jewel-Love.
Good morning, Paul.
And we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. A lot of voicemails based on last couple weeks of shows, which I'm excited to get to. You have a story you want to tell? Do you have a weekend happening?
I got new tires this weekend on my car.
Oh?
I impressed the guys at the tire shop with my negligence. They were like really impressed. The guy was like, one of my tires for about 2 months has been consistently losing air. I keep just airing it up. And so I finally went and I was like, can I get some air in my tires and see if I need a patch?
You've had a burst tire for months?
Yeah, and I've just been filling it up. And I go to this tire shop and the guy's like, I'm like, oh,
what
like
an insight into your mind.
Yeah, I go and I'm like, hey, like, can I get some air in my tires and see if maybe this back one needs a patch or something? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, like just pull around, we'll see. And the guy's like, okay, I'm just gonna like fill them all up and I'll look at the back one. And then he like spends some time filling them all up. And he comes back to my window. He goes,
oh gosh,
when's the last time you got new tires? And I go, never.
You're supposed to do that?
I was like, never. And he's like, okay, well, there's a significant amount of dry rot on these. And that back tire's definitely got a nail in it. And I was like, cool. So can I drive this today? I was like, can I still drive out of here? Like, I got stuff to do. I was going thrifting. My weekend plans. I was going
You're like,
I was going
I
to
have
look
no
for
idea
trinkets.
what's the scale of the problem here.
Well, I did, but I was not ready to deal with it. So
Clearly.
I was like, okay. And so he was like, yeah, you're just going to have to keep airing it up like every couple days. And I was like, okay, cool, bye. And then I proceeded to make a 400-point turn to get out of this tire shop because it was like really tight. And they were all watching me make a 400-point turn. And then I left. And then I got really anxious the next day about like getting a flat tire somewhere. So then I went to a tire shop and got new tires. And the guy was like, honestly, I'm really impressed that you were able to keep the original tires on this 2018 car until now. And I was like, thank you. Somebody like, it's just like slow living. It's like keeping things for their full lifespan. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, not throwing away things too early. Reduce, reuse. So that's how I spent my weekend.
Okay, great. Wow.
It was fine.
Okay.
I was completely fine. So sometimes you just got to push your limits. It's a life lesson.
All right. Well.
So anyway, to the news. So there's some stuff happening with the fentanyl situation in the state, kind of circling back to 2022 when Colorado passed the Fentanyl Prevention and Accountability Bill into law, which a lot of details in it, but the like most notable one was it made it a felony to possess 1 to 4 grams of fentanyl for personal use. Can you kind of explain like what the thinking was behind this?
Crackdown is what it is, basically, Olivia. That was the story back when it was passing. I remember talking about this. Ironically, this was like pretty early on in the podcast's history. And for people who have listened for a while, they know Bree is like a ferocious champion of harm reduction. But this was seen at the time as a major defeat for harm reduction, which is like sort of the idea that's a little bit more popular on liberal lefty circles, that if people have access to housing first, say as a support system, then it will help them find a job. It will help them get off of drugs. You know, these things happen to correlate with each other when people get into tough circumstances in their lives. Now, of course, the other side of things that has even gotten more severe in the last couple of years, which is very interesting and we should talk about, is the Trump factor, because he started talking about harm reduction and addiction in cities. And I honestly thought this quote from him last week, like, this would not have been super out of place during the debate over that bill at the legislature a few years ago. Trump about DC, he says, quote, now, who does this sound like to you? He says, "Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs, and homeless."
Damn.
I was like, do better, Denver.
Yeah.
Do better, Denver. We have this. This is such a key dynamic in our city. It's core to the issues facing our city right now. And it's all about this bill.
We have President Trump at home.
A little bit. Denver. It's the same language. I totally think about it now. Ever since I made this connection, it was like, they're talking about the same stuff in the same way.
Yeah. This rhetoric is happening so much on the right, though, with the, like, you know, we need to strike down with like criminal penalties, forced hospitalization, jail, like things like that. But this article that we were reading from Westward this morning is showing that like this bill from 2022, like this crackdown, like you say, it doesn't seem to be having the effect that they thought it was going to. Can you kind of explain what's going on there?
No, that's the interesting thing that happened this morning, and it's not the first study. I actually just looked back at my email. I kind of vaguely remembered there was this local public health policy kind of doctor who's very engaged in like the public discourse. He always does studies on current events. His lab was actually tasked as a part of the bill with reviewing the results of the change. So he's been looking into this. And then today it was this other group, but that Westward was reporting on. But they've come to the same results, basically, that it's not having the effect. Now, everyone acknowledges that there's a million reasons why addiction deaths are still going up, and like overdose deaths specifically are not being reduced. But this, we keep having this conversation. I think these people probably would have said this before the bill was passed too. So the data is a little bit like short, but they definitely say like it's not having that effect. And especially in minority communities, the numbers are like particularly bad, that this is not reducing overdose deaths.
Yeah. I gotta be honest though, like, I don't know that the real like outcome that the like Trumps and Do Better Denvers of the world were looking for was like a reduction in overdose deaths. It seems like what they were really looking for was less visibility of people, you know, in active crisis, in like doing drugs publicly, and like, you know, just seeing it less and like being exposed to it less. So like, I don't know, this might not be a good metric for success for them, because I don't know that they necessarily really care about that as a metric of success.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly the case that for the Democrat backers of this bill, that was not their, like, the stated goal back then, just because it feels like that to me now. For them, and it was mostly Democrats, it was conservatives who were aligned on this, but it was some Democrats. Some of the sponsors are people that listeners might know the names of.
Representative Brittany Pedersen.
Headline. She got this bill passed in the legislature, she ran for Congress and won. And now she represents CD7, out in Lakewood. And we just talked about her last week visiting the ICE facility in Aurora with the other Democrat members of Congress. Like she was in the news earlier this year, bringing her baby to Congress. And now, what were you saying? She's gotten, like, that has continued to be why are people still talking about that?
I know it's just been like, it continues to be like a right-wing talking point of her. Like, she gets accused of using her baby as, like, I think they call it like a political pawn. They're like, why don't you go home and raise your baby? Why don't you get childcare for your baby? They like to accuse her husband of being an absent father, of not taking care of the baby because she brings it to like votes and stuff. So
Her
I
husband,
don't
past
know.
guest on this podcast, Ian
Yes.
Silveri. Shout out to Ian.
Yeah. So it's, just kind of a interesting,
Yeah. So
differences
it was
in,
her. She was a
yeah.
sponsor, and then there was Alec Garnett, who went on to be Polis's chief of staff and is now a lobbyist for UC
Hmm.
Health. He's the vice president of government and regulatory affairs. And then the one Republican sponsor was John Cook, who was a former Republican sheriff.
Yeah. This was kind of an interesting, like, bipartisan effort.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about Brittany Pedersen that's interesting to me, like, I remember back when I was a reporter in Clear Creek, I saw her speak at some town hall, I think maybe with Michael Bennett. Um, but I remember her sharing her story. She grew up with a mother who had an opioid addiction. And
Oh.
so she has like a really personal connection to this issue. And she kind of
Mm-hmm.
like spent her childhood and like formative years, supporting her mother and like taking care of her mother and trying to make sure, she didn't die and stuff. So she's like
Mm.
really personally connected to this. And it sounds like kind of at the beginning of her political career, it wasn't something that she would ever really like talk about or want to like campaign on. But as she's like become more senior in her, running and stuff, she started to talk about it more and like champion it as an issue. And so it's kind of one of those things that I find interesting. It's like people who are like personally touched by the issue like diverge two ways, either the like harm reduction way or the like very like, I don't know, some people call it the like tough love way, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know, of this like really, I don't know, not providing
Well, denial of services. To
resources.
translate that into a
Yeah.
public policy response, the other option would be like denying
Denying
support
services.
services,
Yeah,
cutting
denying
funding
help.
for things like, drug counseling or how. I mean, housing is the big one. Housing is the most important one.
Housing, like needle exchange, safe injection sites, things like that.
Yeah. This is
It's
making me
interesting.
you questioned the bipartisanness of this a second ago, and it's like you were saying the Republicans, what the result they seem to want is like, get it out of my eyes, get it out of my hairline or airline, or like I don't want to see it. Whereas Pedersen has this story. I don't know. Jose Escobar, this is a quote that stood out for me from the Westward coverage of this latest report, and it kind of ties it all together. Is Jose Escobar, the director of the Colorado Consortium for Prescription Drug Abuse Prevention, which is at the University of Colorado, and studies this kind of thing. He said, it's this reaction that people have. People are desperate. People lose loved ones and get really frustrated about this increase in deaths, and they're reaching for anything. One of the reactions is, let's just keep penalizing people for using drugs and hope this is going to scare people.
Yeah.
So like setting up a stick and not a carrot.
Yeah. I think it is that like also, wanting people to have consequences, like kind of that morality thing. Some people face. And it also kind of reminds me of, we read that story 2 weeks ago now of the people behind Do Better Denver, and one of the women having worked at the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless and, turning into one of the people that feeds these videos and information to this account that exposes people in their darkest hours. So it's like kind of interesting when you're like exposed to that, what it can like turn you into and what that darkness can make you, I don't know.
I mean, people have strong reactions to it. That's what we've seen. As the problem has gotten worse in Denver, we've seen people have really strong reactions in both directions.
Yeah.
And that's why it's still a debate.
Definitely.
So let us know what you think, I guess. With all this data, maybe they're going to be re-looking at these policies. I looked back at some emails with Dr. Baracus. He said that there was a bill at the legislature this year. I guess there was up for debate, so probably come back again. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Join Denver Health for an exclusive exhibit, Stories in Black and White. This powerful display shares real stories of people affected by the opioid crisis and overdose epidemic. Stories of hope, struggle, loss, healing, courage, and change. Because the truth is, substance use disorders don't discriminate. They touch people from every walk of life. And by listening, we can reduce stigma and open the door to support. Okay, so I'm looking at their site. I'm seeing some examples of these stories. These look like really personal, serious stories of people that overcame some really hard challenges. Yeah, this person, Kitty, thanks to Denver Health, I'm now in recovery. And for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. The crippling hopelessness that came with my addiction is no longer part of my daily life. Wow. You can experience the exhibit for yourself on Monday, September 1st at Civic Center Park, or Thursday, September 4th at the Central Public Library. For full details, visit denverhealth.org/blackandwhite. This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. And Olivia, I gotta tell you, I've been looking forward to this one because I love the way they write their copy like it's a trailer for a movie. In a world, 7 strangers, 1 remote country house, a snowstorm, and then somebody turns up dead. The Mousetrap, a really great play that you should see, and it's very cool that the Arvada Center is doing it. I've seen it a couple of times. I loved it both times. And they're doing it September 5th through October 12th at the Arvada Center. The Arvada Center produces award-winning theater right here in our community, featuring Colorado actors, directors, and designers. See this iconic and Paul-approved murder mystery play right in your backyard at the Arvada Center. See for yourself why Agatha Christie's ingenious detective story is the longest-running play in the world. Is that actually true? What about Shakespeare? The Mousetrap play, wikipedia.com. It ran from 1952 on London's West End until the March 16th, 2020, and then it had to stop because of the pandemic. That's like, how many years is that? That's so long. Good for them. The tickets are available now at arvadacenter.org. Now we get to the good part. Listener submissions. Like I said, so much good feedback from last week. I can't wait to talk about some of these. Let's start with, there was this episode we did last week where you and I went out and talked to a bunch of random people on 16th Street. This was fun. This was a fun day, I thought. And there was one response in particular that I think got us to some answers.
Hi, I just listened to today's show and there was some comment about bird noises being piped in along the mall somewhere, and they may be referring to up on 16th, like Glenarm, Welton, used to be where the Paramount Cafe was, where the Paramount Theater is, the Kittredge building. Somewhere up there, they pipe in sounds of like hawks to scare away, this is what I've heard, to scare away the pigeons. So that might be what somebody was referring to. Thanks again for your podcast. I listen to it every day. Bye.
Aw.
Thank you so much for calling in. I love that. Olivia, what do you think? This is the rumor you heard. Does that sound like,
yeah.
What is that? What do you think?
I mean, it makes sense. I would be scared of hawks out if I was a bitch. But I thought, I don't know why that, like duck decoy noise. I feel like usually I'm like hailing from the Midwest. My thought is usually the animal noises are meant to attract other animals. You know?
Oh, interesting.
Like when you're using, a duck call, it's to attract ducks. So you can shoot them. But
okay, well, maybe, I like the theory. That made sense to me, but now you're got me thinking the other way.
Yeah, but I mean, hawks are scary to pigeons. I actually had a dream that I was getting like my face pecked off by pigeons last night, so that was horrifying. But
okay, sorry about that.
Didn't somebody wrote us an email about this?
Okay,
somebody gave us the answer. Yeah,
right,
somebody gave us an answer about this.
Hi, CityCast. I just listened to the episode where Paul and Olivia talked to folks on the 16th Street Mall, and they were talking about rumors that the city was piping in nature sounds. And that's true, but it's a piece of public art by local sound artist Jim Green called Sound Walk. It's located on Curtis Street near the DCPA.
All right. Case closed.
Asked and answered. That's where the bird sounds are coming
pigeons
from.
live to see another day.
I wish I had thought to look up how much that was paid for this, and like we should go find it.
Yeah, would they consider piping into podcast?
Can
How
you
about
imagine
that?
coming up
CityCast
from the
Denver?
manhole covers?
Like steam coming out and CityCast Denver.
Yeah. Let's go on to a different topic. We got. Let's talk about this one from Hannah.
Hey, CityCast. My name is Hannah, and I don't live in Denver, but I love listening to your show as a Colorado resident. And I just wanted to respond to your Jared Polis episode. I think y'all had super fair things to say. I don't think that Jared Polis is infallible, but
Super fair
there's a lot
things.
of conversation around how Jared changed his mind around the pedestrian bridge, and how there is this perception by the group that was not authentic, or that he was trying to save face. And although, politicians will do what they do, I do want to say that our elected officials changing their mind based off of public opinion is what we want. That's like reflective of a good democracy and good leaders. If they're hearing something from public opinion that prompts them to change their mind, I think that's a way better situation than them just going for it anyways. So I just wanted to criticize that a little bit and give my thoughts as a Colorado resident. So thanks so much for your amazing coverage, and keep doing great work. Thanks. Bye.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Hannah, that was such a great take. I was sort of thinking about that, and then I don't know. I don't know if I agree. What do you think,
I
Olivia?
agree with this. I agree with this for sure. I think, yeah, politicians should change their mind based on what their constituents want, and say, that's the whole point of an elected official. I think the thing I was trying to point to here was how ironic it was with his posting. Just his the tone he took with the post of being I'm gonna change myself, just kind of acting like he had always been against it, and being super gung-ho. It just didn't come across as authentic. It would have come across more authentic if he'd been you know what, yeah, guys, I biffed it, I wanted this bridge and everyone said it was stupid, and my bad, I got it wrong.
Yeah.
That's fine, and I got it wrong. But just the tone of him being F the bridge, I hate it too, was just kind of come on, dude. We know you love the bridge. So that was what was inauthentic to me. But yes, I totally agree that elected officials should, change their minds if their constituents give them a strong reaction. Because that's the whole point of.
Here's an example of that happening that people might think about. Sorry, but this you're talking this up. You're saying they should. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yadira Caraveo in CD8 did this 2 years ago, right before her election. She was I think my district is leaning a little bit more right on immigration, so I'm going to start voting with the Republicans on immigration and abandoning what she campaigned on. Don't you think it's important to stick to the promises you made when you're running for something and saying, this is what I believe, this is what you're going to vote for me for, and I'm going to do it and when I get to office?
Yeah, but the difference is Jared Polis is already in office. She was running for office, and this was a campaign promise. And also, he had a survey that had a 94% do not do this response. I feel it's apples and oranges here.
You think?
Yeah. I do.
Well, I feel there's some differences for sure, but Polis is a quirky guy. That's what the whole premise of the episode is. We kind of trust him. We know that's what we're buying when we're voting for him. We're getting a guy who's going to bring zany ideas. He's going to have weird takes. That's what I appreciated about your research was he's always been a weird guy who's going to come up with weird crap like a bridge. That's always been who he is. I remember reading when he was 11 years old in his neighborhood in Southern California, he and his friends, there was someone wanted to build something on their playing field and they were no. And then they actually went to the city government and got it stopped to preserve or a canyon land where they like to go hiking or something. He has always done this. He has always been willing to stand up against the majority when he thinks it's right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, I thought that episode was interesting. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're talking about how weird he is online now. I want more people to help us see this the way they see it.
Yeah, I feel like that was a really
So,
thoughtful
Collins-
comment, though. Appreciate that.
From this, oh my God, I was thinking about it a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, 720-500-5418 is the number to call. Leave us a voicemail, send it to text. Thank you, Hannah. You got us talking about it again. 720-500-5418.
This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. Getting out of bed on a cozy morning is already hard enough, especially when my husband is still asleep and he looks so peaceful. But pair that with the most comfortable sheets from Cozy Earth, and it's nearly impossible for me to get out of bed, let alone wake this guy up. Because these sheets are life-changing. They're temperature regulating and guaranteed to give you a comfortable night's sleep. Made from viscose from bamboo, they naturally wick away heat and moisture from your body, helping you sleep several degrees cooler, which is important when you're like me and your partner is a literal furnace at night. This tiny 4-year-old man sleeps sideways, so it's me, my furnace of a husband, Greg, and then our child that sleeps sideways. And sweaty. Why are toddlers so sweaty? And he flings his arms around. I'm like, what is he dreaming about? After sleeping on these sheets for a couple months, there's really no going back for me. But Cozy Earth offers a 100-night sleep trial, meaning you can try them out, and if you don't love them, return them hassle-free. But trust me, I don't think you're going to want to. And they have a 10-year warranty, because once you feel this level of comfort, you're going to want it to last a decade. Head to CozyEarth.com and use my code CozyDenver for 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible.
I think we have time for maybe which one of these ones about the zombie episode? We did an episode where we were like, what if zombies attack Denver? How would you actually survive?
Hello, this is Lauren from Capital. Just listened to your zombie survival episode and just had a few thoughts. I think I would probably, if the apocalypse started, I'd probably get on my bike and, even though it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, bike over to the cemetery, Crown Hill Cemetery area, and get to the top of the Tower of Memories. It's got a very large vantage point and a place you could probably snipe a lot of zombies. And most of the bodies are pretty well sealed off in there, so wouldn't have to worry too much about that.
Pretty well.
Nearby the Tower of Memories, you can bike. It's about 30 minutes to the Colorado Mills Mall, and that would have a ton of food options and a very good vantage point a la Dawn of the Dead to snipe zombies as well. Nearby the Colorado Mills Mall also is the Bristlecone shooting area, and I think that would be a good area to recruit people to be part of your team to take over Colorado Mills in the medium term. And then ultimately, I think probably North Denver, which used to be farmlands, would be great for surviving the rest of the zombie apocalypse. Anyways, great episode. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
This is an interesting. How do you think Lauren would do with this plan?
Good.
Where are the weak points?
I'm not sure. The cemetery is kind of freaking me out. I don't know. I don't really know the logistics of zombies in the ground type of thing.
I mean, sometimes they come out of the ground.
Yeah.
Sometimes a cemetery is the place where the zombies
right.
come from.
So I don't know how
bridge.
much I trust how well they're sealed off. The whole thing is.
Oh, he said pretty
I know.
well.
I don't
He
know
was
that I
like, no.
trust that because those old mausoleums and stuff be I don't know, crumbling and old caskets popping open. I don't know. I don't know that I trust that. But I mean, the tower sounds like a good vantage point. I do like that. The mall
I
is.
agree with that 100%.
The mall is great. The mall already feels very zombie-like, Colorado Mills, in my opinion. Also, you could go into that off-Broadway shoe warehouse, get you some real fast sneakers while you're in there, outrun all the zombies. It's a lot of good.
I think the mall is a good stop.
Yeah, well, yeah, I
think the mall could be a good
that's
stop.
his middle stop. And he's near some possibly some sharpshooters, so that's strategic. I like that. You can probably pick up some
like
weapons
that
there
too.
too. So I think
You know what part of me worries about this is like, I think that we're like limited in we think about zombies showing up in places where zombie movies have taken place. Like all of these, I think there's like a bias towards the cinematic.
I thought they're going to be everywhere.
I mean, they're probably going to be
The
everywhere.
CVS,
Well, anyway.
zombies in the CVS, they're already there. You ever waited in line for a prescription? Yeah, I appreciate this though. He's not. This ain't your average. Go to the.
It's a good take.
Go to the.
It's a good take.
Go to the firehouse. Please save me, firefighter.
Average. That was good. That was a good pick.
Good.
I'm surviving this thing. Any other thoughts, Olivia, on any of those episodes?
I don't know. They were fun. I like everybody writing in about it. There's somebody that said like none of you would survive this, and then never gave a reason why. And I really was kind of offended by that, frankly. I was like, that's not fair to say if you're not going to give a reason, and you're also not a part of my zombie sniper crew. So, anyway.
All right. Well, that person, call in, follow up, give us your plan. You too. I mean, if you're listening now, I think you get a sense of the premise. Leave us a voicemail, send us a text anytime, 720-500-5418. The CityCast Denver hotline is open, 720-500-5418. We didn't talk about it, but we know that city layoffs are happening this week. People are being informed, and it would be great to know how that's going for folks. So if you're affected, or if your department is affected, or if you know someone, we're listening. We want to hear what's going on, what it means for you. Again, same number, 720-500-5418. Well, Olivia, as usual, what a
What a ride.
Bree's coming back in a week, but for now it's this.
Wow. B team forever.
Thanks for joining me.
Okay. Bye.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell someone who's never replaced their tires about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And remember, you can support the show by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you then. God, I lost my train of thought. I'm thinking about your tires.
It's a real story.
You really had something there. I don't know how to
strength
shift
and resilience
gears into this other thing.
It's podcasting, baby.
I'm good.